Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 5B. Now, by the way, I'm not going to be here most of the first week because of camp, because of the gala rehearsal, technical, thingy. So, our intention is to complete 5A. You get one lesson to do 5A. 5B, 2 lessons. 5C will start half of it. All right, so the video will cover 5A, B, and, well, basically C. Now, in terms of factorization, this is where the main the main stuff is at. And so we're going to look at example 4 first. Couple of, there are a few, like the 3 type of examples, this one. First one here is like this. I mean, this is probably the easiest one. You just simply take out the common factor. I mean, you kind of need to know your times table, but -3, x minus 12. I mean, if you take out a 3, you divide each term by 3. So you get a negative x minus 4. I mean, that's usually how first step if you're not too sure. But like for those who's actually recognized, well, since at the moment there's still a negative sign in there, why don't you take out a -3? So you divide each term by -3, and you get x plus 4, because if you divide a negative number by a negative number, you change sign. Okay, example part B. Now, quite often you're not just going to deal with, you're not just going to deal with a simple number. You have letters to deal with as well, and so but if you cannot get straight to the final answer, do it by steps. How about take a 2 out, divide each term by 2. You got 10a squared plus 30 divided by 2 is 15a squared. Oh, you just realized, hang on. A seems to be common. Why don't we take out an a as well? So you got 2a, you got 10a plus 15. Okay, all right, 10a plus 15. 10 and 15 seem to have some common factors in there as well. That's a 5. You take out a 5. Remember, whatever you take out of the bracket, you need to multiply by whatever's outside of the bracket. So if I'm taking out a 5, I'm basically dividing each term. I am dividing each term by 5. And whatever and outside, you have to times by 5. As you can see, a times divided by 5 times by 5 cancels each other out, meaning you haven't done anything to it. In maths, you can't just randomly make up stuff. You have to balance both sides of the equation. It's just that the balancing allows you to progress. And such as life. We need to progress. And so 2a times 5 is 10a. Inside of bracket, 10a divided by 5 is 2a. All right? 15 divided by 5 is plus 3. I mean, how do you know this answer is correct or not? You re-expand the bracket, multiply the 10a by each term. Now, what does that give you? 10a times 2a, that I believe is 28 squared. 20a squared. 10a plus 3 is 30a. So the answer is correct. Now, of course, ideally, I would like you to go straight into this. And of course, if you do this on the CAS, it just skips the entire point. So the moral of the story is get yourself a CAS calculator. Part C, 2x plus 1 minus ax plus 1. Well, do we have a common factor? Oh, hang on, 2 and 8. Oh, that doesn't look common. But hang on, isn't this a common factor? So x plus 1 is I never said common factor have to be a number or letter. It can be an expression. Now, whatever's remaining, well, 2 is remaining, negative a is remaining. You simply list them down in the second bracket. Nice and simple, okay? Well, I mean, if you do enough of this work, it should be quite simple. So, okay, now we're getting to a bit of bad news. Now, you need to try and factorize something called difference of perfect squares. So now you're factorizing now. Well, let's try without the CAS calculator first. How do you do this? Well, first of all, is this even a DOPs? is this even a DOPs? Or the answer is yes. DOPs is anything that looks like this. DOPs must look like this. It must be a number squared minus another number squared, even if you cannot figure out what has been squared, okay? Well, x squared, okay? And so your job is to understand what is the non-squared version of whatever number you got, okay? So if 16 is if a squared is a, well, 16, what's the non-squared version of a? Well, isn't 16 also 4 squared? So the non-squared version of 16 is 4. Now, wasn't there like an explanation where, where things like this, a difference of perfect square gives you this following example? That's what we've done from previous lesson. Okay, and so by that token, we now know what is A and B. You simply put them in the bracket. The first term is A, so we call it X. Okay? Sorry, I was meant to say X. That's meant to be X. Minus 4. Following the formula. Remember, follow the formula. Don't think on the spot. Follow the formula. Maths is simple if you follow the rule. X plus 4. It's just alternating position. It's just alternate. If you're not sure, square root each of the term. Literally do this. Like do this on your calculator. That. See what happens. If they give you some decent value, well then the chances are you're probably right. Next one here. 9a squared minus 4b squared. My goodness. I mean, look. Right now we're not using any calculator stuff. So this is real business. I have no idea what's going on here. You put this in your calculator. You put this in the calculator. Don't worry about the negative sign. Ignore the negative sign and see what happens. If you square root 9a squared, you should get 3a. If you square root 4b squared, you should get 2b. Or not to b for that matter. Well, of course, following this particular rule here, all right? So this is your a value. This is your b. A, b. And so putting in the bracket a, b. If you're really not sure, visual, visual learning is a way to, do this stuff. Well, a is, 3a minus, minus 2b, 3a plus 2b. Nice and simple. Well, we got some, okay, the third example is like something that can be a bit of a problem. The third example can be a bit of a problem. Because there is no way you can actually factorize any of this. Sorry, there's no way, if you put this as a square value, sorry, my paper's gone down a bit too much. There's actually no way you can square root this off the top of the, off the top, and you're screwed. Well, the answer is no, because if you look at it, 12 minus 1200, again, remember, factorization. Whatever you're doing, see if you can factorize. Factorize. Always to see if you can factorize something. Some basic factorization, take out a common factor. Ideally, I want to remove the 12. Use that as a catalyst. Put 12 outside. See what do you have inside the bracket. You got y squared. What's 1200 divided by 12? I think the answer is 100. Oh my goodness. Now we've got something going. Well, I mean, like, again, if you're not sure what's going on here, y squared, if you square root that one, you get y. 100, if you square root that, if you square root 100, you get 10. And so applying this particular rule here, a minus b, well, that's your a, that's your b. The answer would be 12, y minus 10, y plus 10. All right? This is before we use any calculator. All right, that's part 1 of chapter 5b. It's a massive chapter. See you soon.